Massachusetts Senate President Karen Spilka is our guest. Let's go on the record. Leading the Senate since 2018, the Democrat from Ashland has championed progressive policy, but now faces the challenge of tighter revenue. How's she managing the push and pull? The Senate President is here, so let's gavel in.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
And we welcome you to OTR. Hi, everybody. I'm Ben Cimino, along with News Center 5's political reporter Charmin Sacchetti. Ed Harding's off on this Sunday morning. Joining us at the table is Senate President Karen Spilka. Madam President, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to see both of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Well, let's start with housing. Now, Governor Healey joined us last week, making it clear that housing is her top priority. She supports allowing cities and towns to level a transfer fee on real estate sales over $1 million. Now, Speaker Mariano says lawmakers are a little bit reluctant about it. He says it's not as popular as he thought it would be. Do you support that proposal?
We are still debating it. The housing bill hasn't even come to the Senate yet. The House is doing it first. We are working on some pieces, but I think that we need to look at whatever we do with the eye of ensuring that we continue to build housing in every corner of the state and make it more affordable for residents. And that's why the Senate ended up, even in our tax relief bill last session, did two major pieces on housing creation, one for market rate housing across the state, the other affordable housing across the state. That will create tens of thousands of units across the state as well.
Let me ask you about this, because do you think the bar was set too low at $1 million? There are a lot of homes in Massachusetts now worth $1 million.
Especially in Greater Boston.
Right. That will be a big discussion and debate among the senators. And, so I'm waiting to hear from the Senate. We haven't had that debate and discussion yet. So we'll see.
The Senate has taken some steps to taper the hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on the emergency shelter crisis. Norfolk this week became the latest community where residents are upset about an emergency shelter in their own backyard. In this case, it's a former prison there. This is what happened at a town meeting last week. Have a look.
Help our own. Do something to stop it.
Obviously, it's a small community there, about 11,000 people. Massachusetts, as you know, is a right to shelter state. Washington, D.C. bears most of the responsibility for a broken immigration system, but a lot of voters now also turning their ire on Beacon Hill. Has the state done enough to address this?
I believe that first and foremost, as you said, the Congress is responsible for this. Their inaction, their failure to do immigration reform. It was close, and then Trump told them all to vote no on it. We need federal immigration reform. We also need some funding from the federal government, which we are advocating. I am advocating very strongly with our legislative federal delegation to get funding. We need to also help them with permits so they can work to move people out of the shelters and into self-sufficiency. But it looks like we may be getting some funding from the federal government in the near future.
When do you think?
In a few months.
In a few months.
How much money?
I'm not certain yet, but after talking with the federal delegation, it appears that they have been successful, speaking with Elizabeth Warren and Ed Markey, that we might be getting some funding that will help defray some of the costs. But the bottom line is these folks are here legally. They are legal migrants, and we don't want children or pregnant mothers sleeping on park benches, especially during the winter.
Or at Logan Airport. Nobody wants that.
But so we have to do something with them.
But critics say we've had such a high volume of people coming here because of the state's unique right to shelter law. Should that be addressed by the legislature and changed?
Well, I think other states have also had major influxes of the migrants and are not in the same circumstance. So we have in the Senate set a time limit for migrants staying in the shelters and decrease the amount month after month to sort of provide a path out of this shelter situation. It includes, there's 7,500 families. That includes families that have lived in Massachusetts all their lives. It's not just migrants. At least half of the people in shelters are Massachusetts residents. But we have a path out. We have limitations, and we are hoping that we get some help with some funding. As I said, that's looking better.
And I just want to clarify, so it's on track to cost $1 billion this year. Do you think that funding that's coming could cover that amount of costs?
It probably will cover some. The actual amount, the final amount, has yet to be determined. But we have been advocating, the administration has been advocating and working really closely with the federal delegation. I know I've spoken to them and been clear that we need help.
So you don't think you'll know, though, the amount before the new fiscal year begins on July 1 and a budget has to be put in place?
Well, we have a budget already, and we have some funding in the budget for emergency shelter. So I think that will take place.
All right, let's move on to the Senate unveiling a $58 billion budget. The business-backed Mass Taxpayers Foundation says the Senate has filed 1,100 amendments worth almost $3 billion. More than half are to fund some pet projects, including a $1.5 million for a wedding and conference center in your district. Why still the appetite to spend on Beacon Hill at this point when we've only seen modest tax growth?
Okay. First of all, our revenue is always cyclical. It goes up, it comes down. And now is not the time to take our foot off the pedal with economic development, investments in our people, in education, in workforce, in regional equity. That so-called earmark local priority that you are referring to is part of Framingham State University. It's an academic and professional development program training people, teaching hospitality, which we have a severe shortage of workers in this state. So when you look at specifically what these programs do, they are helpful and critical to our economic development. We need the hospitality workers. We need to continue to invest in workforce development.
So free community college has been one of your priorities for a while. It looks like it's happening. Can the state afford it, though, given all the other spending needs elsewhere?
I think the state cannot afford to not do it. It is $75 million in new funding, which is, in the scheme of a $58 billion budget, the benefits so far outweigh the cost. So many of our students, so many of our people never saw themselves as college material. Either they couldn't afford it, they couldn't take the time, they didn't think they'd succeed. This has thrown open the door of opportunity to help them achieve their American dream. Last week we had an unveiling of the program, and a man named Jose was there, started at Middlesex Community College. He's getting a degree from community college. He was a Mason for 20 years, never saw himself as going to college. And now he's not only going to get the 2-year degree, he's looking forward to a 4-year degree. And his 13-year-old daughter, he's a role model who's really proud of him, and he's proud. This is an intergenerational issue. When parents go to college, chances of their children going to college increase. So we have a workforce shortage. We need to harness the talents and the energies of all of our members, and these people, when they graduate public higher ed, the vast majority of them stay here in Massachusetts.
I want to ask you about Steward Health. The Steward Hospital chain, of course, has filed bankruptcy. The House has just passed a health care bill that in part addresses the crisis. Included in the bill, a ban on the type of lease agreements between hospitals and healthcare real estate investment trusts. Do you think the Senate will support that move?
Well, the Senate, I've mentioned months ago, will do our own health care bill. That's usually the way it works.
Is that important to you, this piece to address Steward?
Well, we'll take a look. They just did it yesterday, so we haven't really looked at the final language at all. And Senator Cindy Friedman, who's the Senate chair of Health Care Finance, has been working hard on health care reform. We've talked about it since the beginning of the session, before Steward hit with all of their problems and concerns. We do need to reform healthcare. made major reform over 10 years ago. It's time to take a look at it and our whole system of healthcare. So we will probably address some of the same, or again, many. I don't know yet what ended up in the bill. And we'll have our own version, and then we'll hash out the differences.
Part of the issue, and with Steward in particular, seems to be this rather bizarre lease of the land that they kind of sold out from under these hospitals. We asked the governor about this last week. Should the state use eminent domain to take a look at that and say, listen, these are critical community roles that these hospitals fulfill? Maybe we can take this land back, because how does somebody buy a hospital when they don't own the land?
You're right, and that is a whole new age in hospital, and unfortunately, we are among the first to experience this. Steward has hospitals in other areas of the state, and they are in trouble in the other areas as well. But I think we need to look at everything and see what makes the most sense for Massachusetts.
Quickly, would you support a taxpayer bailout of Steward?
Not of Steward, because they should not get a penny for their gross misconduct. But the Senate is concerned mostly about patient safety, continuity of care, and the jobs. So we need to look at that and see what we can do to support.
Private equity's role here a problem in healthcare?
Yes, definitely. It's a big problem.